Hi, it's Matt from Milwaukee Record.
And I'm Kristin from Wisconsin.
And this is... Hello, and welcome back. And hello, Kristin. It's nice to see you again. It's been a little while again.
It's been 2 weeks? 1 week?
3 weeks?
3 weeks?
4 weeks?
Ooh.
6 weeks? We usually try to get together every 2 weeks, but I don't think it happened again this time. But we have a good excuse, and that, of course, would be your Milwaukee Bucks.
Got Bucks lust. I love my Milwaukee Bucks. Got Bucks lust.
Yeah, it's taken over a lot of people's lives, including my own.
Yes.
I made a joke. I think the last time we were together, I made a joke about how there was two aldermen who blamed Kia and Hyundai for the carjack or the car stealing situation.
Yep.
It's kind of how I feel right now. Like, why the Bucks doing this to my body? That's the only reason of emotionally, I'm in a very good spot. My body is in tatters because they keep forcing me to drink every other night.
You said you're going out every night for the games. I've been doing half and half.
Well, every time my boyfriend and I have watched the game from home, we've lost. So we've also just convinced ourselves that we can't watch it from home for the good of the team. And neither of us can control ourselves and just not drink if we're out. And then when we win, multiple shots are needed to be taken after. That's why the glasses and minimal makeup is on this morning.
No problem. Yeah, I feel like I'm in the opposite way. Every time I actually go out to see them, they lose. And when I stay home. And yet, when they win, when I'm at home, I feel like I'm missing out on everything. I see the entire city blow up. And everyone's celebrating. And last night, we're recording this on Thursday. Last night, Game 4, they won. It was a terrific game.
Yeah.
And I just was sitting at home at 10:30 at night by myself, watching everyone have fun on my phone. And it was very sad. But if that's what it takes for the Bucks to win, I will stay home.
That's a great sacrifice. I'm really thank you for that.
I do what I can. Speaking of the Bucks, like you said, it has taken over the city. And I think for you and I, we were talking off camera a while ago, saying hey, what is going on? It's hard to know what's going on because we're so just locked in on the Bucks. So yesterday, earlier this week, you released a terrific video on As Goes Wisconsin, kind of summing up the last few weeks of just what the heck has been going on in Wisconsin politics. And so I come to you today, Kristin, to ask, what has been going on in the last few weeks? Because it seems like we've been missing a lot.
I think we have been missing at least there's a lot of consequential stuff. The big thing being, first, in the beginning of June, we found out that we're going to have $4.4 billion increase in our tax revenue. Mm-hmm. So huge, as they're calling it, a once in a generation windfall as far as state money. Mm-hmm. And then obviously that instead of being look at all the things we can give tax, we can give some tax cuts, we can also fund all these things. Of course, it had to be a partisan one or the other. So fighting ensued. Republicans finally finished their budget, and everyone last week was kind of holding their breath of what is Evers going to do. And he largely signed it. There was not that many partial vetoes. Mm-hmm. But the best move, I think, is because I think largely the Republicans, since Evers has been elected, is everything is positioned to make him look bad.
Sure.
I feel no matter what he does, there's two versions of the messaging and tweets that are ready and locked and loaded to go out depending on what he does, just to spin it as his bad.
Right.
But in he kind of flipped it on. So there's huge a $2 billion tax cut for anyone making between $25,000 and $200,000. I might have those numbers wrong, but it's a huge wide gap of who's benefiting from these tax cuts. And Evers just he was not in his proposal, but he's this is mine now. This is it was not his idea, but because he signed the budget, he's basically being yep, I gave you a tax cut. And the Republicans were so mad.
I did see a little of that. I saw they were upset right away. I saw some other Republicans saying that this was indeed the most conservative budget in Wisconsin in decades or something, which would mean it would be even more conservative than Scott Walker's budgets, which kind of boggles the mind.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. If it's conservative just because there's such huge tax cuts, that could be. But they did increase there's now $100 million more going to schools, which is good, but that's still obviously not nearly as much as Evers originally wanted.
Mm-hmm.
There's all this, like, they took out a bunch of stuff that was more policy based, but so there's like, it's fine. Like, we have a budget. There was a lot on the line because if he just vetoed the whole thing, there was a bunch of federal money that we weren't going to be able to get. So his back was kind of against the wall. It's signed. It's good. Moving on. Other things he signed a deal with the Oneida Nation that there's, for the first time ever, sports betting will be legal. I mean, only on Oneida casinos, but that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
What else did he sign? Some pretty innocuous things that are just funny in Wisconsin. Designated people can now shoot muskrats and beavers if they're causing damage to the highway.
Only designated people.
I think you have to like be part of the DNR or like.
Sure.
Like, I don't think I could go with like my BB gun
Right.
I own a BB gun.
As we all do. I don't know. I'm a
muskrats.
proud BB gun owner myself. Yes.
15-year-olds, you don't have to be 15 and a half to get your permit anymore. Once you turn 15, so you have a full year to drive in all of the seasons. I guess that was a big thing of like, if you only get 6 months of permit driving, you're picking either, certain months to not practice driving.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, why on earth? I mean, whatever, fine, 6 months, who cares? But like, why on earth are we doing that? That's interesting. Did not know the season.
What else did he sign? Oh, there's the ban on basically all police chokeholds except in life-threatening situations, which was a move forward, but a lot of groups like Block and stuff like did not think that went far enough as far as police accountability, but it's something. I think that's about all that was actually signed. And then there was a bunch of stuff that's kind of ongoing as far as like super partisan bills that get introduced that have no chance of being signed between, I think a lot of this we've talked about before. It's like banning critical race theory, not allowing transgender students play on the sports team that they identify with. What else was there? Oh, they wanted to make Wisconsin a Second Amendment sanctuary city.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know what that means.
I think it's basically like something along the lines of like, if the gun is made in Wisconsin, like federal laws don't apply.
Oh, gee.
It's something like that. It's like if the gun is made from Wisconsin and you're in Wisconsin, like you don't, something like that.
I see.
I'm not a big gun person, so.
Just a BB gun person. Just
a BB gun
shoot
person.
varmints on the side of the road. Yeah, obviously.
What else did they introduce that feels like? Oh, this is the best. So for years, for like, I guess like decades, representatives from Colby, Wisconsin had been pushing to make Colby cheese the official state cheese. Like this, like is not they reintroduced this bill, but it's not the first time it's been introduced.
Okay.
So I think it was last week there was lots of puns, but lots of debate over whether or not having an official cheese is a good idea or not. And I think there's a lot of heated discussion around this because people are very protective of their cheese in Wisconsin. So I think that was like probably the most controversial.
I'm shocked, and I'm probably not alone here. I'm shocked we don't have an official cheese.
I think it's one of those things like how do you pick?
We get a bird, we get a tree, an official leaf or something like that. We don't have an official cheese.
No official cheese.
And Colby,
So I think that the argument there is like Colby's was created in Wisconsin versus, but like fun fact, the type of cheese. What do you think the type of cheese? Which type of cheese do you think we produce the most of?
Oh boy, it's probably something really blue cheese. I don't know. No,
mozzarella.
Okay.
Which makes sense. It's the most demand.
Sure, makes sense.
Pizza,
Mozzarella sticks.
Mozzarella sticks.
And
then other stuff. There's like 10 people running for the Democratic primary against could be Ron Johnson, although he has not said if he's running for that, if he's running for governor, if he's running for nothing. Village idiot, maybe. I cut that line from the video. This is a big one that I think has not happened. We didn't talk about since time means nothing anymore.
I know, yeah.
This was incredible. So the night before the Wisconsin GOP convention, Trump, who he basically sent out a press release because that's the only way he can tweet anymore. Is like equivalent to tweeting is now putting out press releases.
Oh, I know.
Because he's kicked off of all these social media platforms.
Glorious.
And he basically publicly accused Robin Voss, LeMahieu, and Topanga. So basically, if you don't know who those three people are, it's basically the leaders of the Wisconsin Republican Party in the Assembly and the State Senate, for not doing enough to investigate the 2020 election. Despite the fact that Voss has hired, using taxpayer money, and they're getting paid like $3,200 a month, retired police officers to investigate the 2020 election.
Right. When I did see this, and I had to really sit down and just think. I'm like, okay, I swear they are investigating this. I swear Voss is doing this. What is this? It's just, it boggled my mind. It's like,
But it's just perfect because that's what he does. Like, I think it's like the amount of people who align themselves with him who don't understand that at any moment he will just do what is self-serving for him.
Right.
And like, it was just a perfect, and who knows? Because it's like he riles up all the people in Wisconsin then who are so aligned with Trump that now, off total misinformation, outright lie, actually, are now, well, Trump said this,
right? And
now are going to target, and they all know that, right? Like, in like, I think they all had, Topanga had some weird thing. He's like, I look forward to seeing you on the golf course. I'm going to wear my MAGA hat or my MAGA mask on the airplane or something.
Oh, good grief. That's what I'm always fascinated by, the response from these people who are attacked by him, who are so working for his interests. And yet they're attacked by him, and then I love their responses of like, how do we kind of defend ourselves without offending the great leader?
Yeah, it's like, it literally is the definition of a bootlicker. It's just like, it's sad because these are people who are in charge of like our state, but at least it's also kind of entertaining.
It is kind of entertaining. I suppose that kind of sums up the last 6 weeks. So thanks for that recap.
You're welcome.
And congrats again. I know we talked about this last time. Congrats on the website, asgoeswisconsin.com.
Thank you.
Because not only do you put out your videos, which are always fun and real quick and informative, you can then click on through and go to the website and get more information on all the stuff you're talking about. You've got more info on there. You got links to even more info. I think it's a fantastic setup, and congrats.
You.
It's like I've said before, Milwaukee and Wisconsin, we're very lucky to have you here. So please keep doing this stuff.
Aw, thanks, Matt. That's very sweet of you.
And now
the sincere thing you've ever said to me.
Oh yes, I know. I'm a very sincere kind of guy. And now on to some more snark, which is really where I come in. Like, you've got all the juicy, interesting stuff, and I've got internet drama. So we've had some good Milwaukee internet drama in the past few weeks. There's been some real terrific dust-ups of people getting mad on Facebook posts. And this is just really my bread and butter. This is where I come in and write a story, and 8 trillion people read it, and then Milwaukee Record, we go out for steaks and lobster afterwards. We just dine on those sweet, sweet clicks. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, the big one this week is Chill on the Hill. Are you familiar with Chill on the Hill?
I am familiar with it. I've yet to go. Obviously, I've only been in Milwaukee since October, but I'm aware of its existence.
Chill on the Hill, for those who don't know, a wildly popular Bayview free concert series in the summer. Folks get together at Humboldt Park. Beautiful, large, huge, great Humboldt Park. They all sit on a hill. They bring some picnic baskets, some blankets. They sip some wine. And they enjoy some free music down on the stage from local musicians and artists. It's fantastic. They've been doing it now for 15, 16 years or something. Everyone loves it. It's always packed. It didn't happen last year, of course, 2020. Nothing happened last year in 2020. And now they're back. They had the first one this week. And leading up to it, there was some controversy because kind of just out of the blue on Facebook, the folks who organize Chill on the Hill, which is like the Bayview Neighborhood Association, they had a post saying, hey, you can reserve spots on the hill, the Chillable Hill, for $450 a season, which is 10 shows, I believe. And this space will accommodate 10 people. And so it's basically like $4.50 per person throughout the course of the season. It'd be like $45 for one show times 10 for the whole season, $450. It goes to us, the Bayview Neighborhood Association. You get your own little reserved plot of land. Isn't that a great idea? Sign up. And everyone flipped out. I just woke up one morning and a friend of Milwaukee record, Kevin Miller, had a tweet about it. I'm like, oh, I got to check this out. And people were just going ballistic on the Bayview Town Hall page, which, like any neighborhood Facebook page, is just horrible. And so everyone was upset and saying like, oh my goodness, you're charging for this now? We can't go to this. This is free. How dare you? And then the Bayview Neighborhood Association jumped in saying, no, this is just for these little plots of land. We're only selling 10 of them. And it's like 2,000 square feet out of 400 billion square feet of the hill, whatever. Relax. People were not relaxing. People were flipping out. There was a lot of talk about class, that this was suddenly the haves and the have-nots of the chill on the hill crowd, which, okay. And it just led to this fascinating internet discussion. And what I loved about it was, like, I didn't know, like, what side to take on the whole thing, because it was kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. You have the county, Milwaukee County, which, as we've talked about on this program, and I'm sure everyone knows, is broke. Milwaukee
Super
County
broke.
has no money. They are totally screwed. We could go into that. We could do an entire season of these shows on that. They have no money, so you have this group that puts on Chill on the Hill looking for some way to get some money. And of course they didn't make any money last year. Nobody made any money last year. So this was their idea, saying, hey, yeah, we usually pass around a hat during these things and you can toss in a couple bucks, but we need more than a couple bucks. Here's a way that we can do it. $450, you get your reserve spot. You get a little sign that says you're an official chiller. Or if you don't want the reserve spot, you can just pay us $400 and you get the sign and you can sit wherever you want. And again, I get it. The optics of it, I guess, look bad, that you have this spray painted kind of little square that you and 9 of your friends are apparently sitting in, like just living like kings and queens.
Because you're still sitting on the ground.
Yeah, you're still
Like,
sitting.
it's not like you get, like, a plushy little, like, beanbag chair to enjoy as, like, kings while everyone else is just, like, plebeians on the ground.
right.
You still have to sit on a blanket.
Yes.
It's just a designated area.
But that's what a lot of people were suggesting, that this really, made this, exactly, that you'd be just living like royalty there. You still have to bring your own stupid lawn chairs and your wine or whatever you want to bring. And so I get it. Kind of the optics are kind of bad. But then again, I get it that, hey, these parks have no money. We got to come up with something. So maybe this isn't the best way to do it. But again, it ties into what we've talked about. It reminds me of earlier this year, Bradford Beach had a kind of dust up, where the company that runs the beach house down there wanted to put a fancy restaurant on the top deck there and put some chairs there. Everyone lost their minds, saying this privatized Bradford Beach. That whole thing has been put on hold, I think, for at least a year. So it reminded me a lot of that. And in that case, too, it was like, well, what do? We have no money, and we got to do something here.
Well, that's the thing that, like, I know none of us like paying taxes because it feels like you don't know where your money is going, but this is the kind of thing that it goes to. And so I always try to make the point, it's like, all these things are public goods. Mm-hmm. What do you think pays for them? And if we privatize it, then we're just allowing rich people to decide what's worth funding. You know what I mean? So it's like the things that you enjoy for free, like concerts in the park and the ecology center over, like, the urban ecology center. I mean, I don't know if I think that's maybe maybe it is privately funded, honestly.
I think so.
But there's certain things that's just like, your taxes pay for things, and if there's no tax money to pay for it, the only way to fund it is through private donations or American Family just sponsoring the entire state for the rest of time. But, it's like, you sacrifice things. And, like, if that's what you want, if you think everything should be run by a private business and everything should be paid, like, you should have to pay to do anything, their drive on roads, and just everything's a toll road because it's a private company that owns that road. That's what it is. Yeah. And so people are always gonna be mad about stuff. But I feel for them as far as, like, how do we get some money?
Yeah. Like I said, they kind of pass a hat around every Chill on the Hill, and they probably raise like $50. But what are you gonna do? And like I said, the parks are broke, and there's just article after article about how our beloved county parks are in so much trouble. And it's interesting because there are certain parks that aren't in a lot of trouble. And I would put Humboldt Park probably in that group where you have these, quote unquote, like, you know, you have these groups like Friends of Humboldt Park or Friends of Lake Park, which are kind of like real well-heeled, you know, neighborhood groups that kind of run things there. Those places are always going to be fine. Like, there's always going to be rich people that live next to Lake Park that are going to donate millions of dollars to fix a bridge. But once this kind of crisis happens, it's going to be a lot of the smaller parks that don't get a lot of publicity and don't have a lot of these things that are going to be hurt. Like Lake Park is going to be fine. Humboldt Park is probably going to be fine. But it's a lot of these smaller parks throughout the city and the county that are going to be hurt. And like we said before, I think I've quoted our county executive before saying, like, that's coming like in the next few years. This isn't like a distant boogeyman. This is coming in 3, 4, 5 years. And it's not going to be pretty.
It's just really sad.
And it all comes back to, what does it all come back to? It all comes back to Milwaukee needing more money from the state, or actually getting its fair share from the state, not more money necessarily.
It's just the disproportion of like how much we pay into taxes as a city and county versus what disproportionately does not come back.
And that goes back to certain politicians just saying no to that idea of letting us raise our own money. And getting rid of those politicians, or not being able to get rid of those politicians, leads back to something we talk about a lot on the show, which is gerrymandering.
Oh, I thought we were going to go to Mandatory Johnson.
I blew it.
Yes, gerrymandering. That is absolutely true. Yeah. But, and it's also, like, this is probably going down a rabbit hole that we don't have time for, but it's like, I'm interested, is it a Barrett thing? Is it that, like, Voss and these guys just want to stick it to Barrett? Is it that if they have something... Because it's like, I don't understand the disdain, it feels like, so much of the state has for the heartbeat. Like, the heartbeat of our GDP. Like, our money that is made and generated in the state is in Milwaukee. And then Madison. And so it's like, how do you not want to, like... If we prosper, the rest of the state will prosper.
Right.
So it's it kind of feels like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
It does.
But I don't know what the motivation is really.
I think they all just watch the nightly news and the local nightly news. And if you do that, that's a whole other...
Milwaukee is burning.
That's a whole other issue. But, so yeah, that's Chill on the Hill. I did not go to this past week, the first one, Chill on the Hill. So I didn't see if there was indeed a turf war going on at Humboldt Park. But I'll probably be there next week, so I'll report back.
Report back.
Next time.
So you're not gonna pay the $450.
Absolutely not. No. No way. No, but I should. I don't know. I should chip in something, so I will do that. Now I kind of have to because I said it on camera. So, as we alluded to before, let's just get to our award-winning segment that we have at the end of each of these shows, where we talk about what our senior senator from Wisconsin has been up to lately. His name is Ron Johnson. And the name of the segment is Mandatory Johnson. So, what has Ron Johnson been up to lately? He's been up to his old tricks again. He's been, what did he do? He published, the Journal Sentinel, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel published an op-ed by Senator Johnson, which was entitled, Senator Ron Johnson says, mainstream media have abused the trust vested in them by the public. And this is, I feel like, his second, maybe third, maybe 8,000th op-ed that the Journal has run by Ron Johnson. A little bit of background on this. A few weeks ago, he had a press conference in Milwaukee that he touted for weeks beforehand, where he combed the country. He found 5 or 6 people who have had adverse reactions to the COVID-19 vaccine. One of them was a wife of a former Green Bay Packer. And boy, I can only imagine how thrilled he was when this woman came out of the woodwork, because, I mean, talk about Wisconsin royalty. You've got a wife of a former Packer,
That's
and
true.
She's on your side. Great. So he brought these folks from all over the country, like 5 or 6 of them, to the federal courthouse downtown and had a little press conference talking about their horrible experiences with the vaccine. And everyone blasted him for it. Everyone said, this is irresponsible. What are you doing? Millions upon millions of people have not had any trouble with these vaccines. Here you are digging up 5 that have and making a big deal out of it. He did his usual, well, I'm just asking questions here, we got to listen to these people. Anyway, and as I've said before, he knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
So he did this, and he knew that he would get blasted for it, and everyone would get upset. And then after that happens, then he gets to do this op-ed in the Journal. And he gets to say how the media is horrible, and they misrepresent everything he does, and they're attacking him, liberal media, mainstream media, on and on and on. It's a tale as old as time, and it's just so annoying to me because he knows what he's doing, and it's annoying, and I think it's annoying that the Journal prints this. Again, this is an op-ed that is just blasting mainstream media in general and the Journal specifically.
Yeah.
It is attacking the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, saying it is horrible, it is lying to you, it is just, don't subscribe to this, it is trash. Run these people out of town. Journalists are lying to you. Oh my God, they are in league with the devil. And the Journal just kind of dutifully prints it. They just run it, and they're like, well, here's their editor's note, which I love, and this is just, it drives me nuts. Editor's note. This ran at the top of his op-ed. Wisconsin is publishing Senator Ron Johnson's op-ed in the interest of promoting a healthy dialogue and providing a forum for readers representing a range of perspectives. There's nothing healthy about this dialogue, about just attacking this, the very paper that it's running in. I think it's bananas when media does this, when they'll just run an attack and be like, well, it's in the interest of a healthy dialogue. There's nothing healthy about this. Don't print it.
But what's hard now is because if they don't print it, he takes it somewhere else, like the MacGyver Institute and whatever, and it's just like, it's proving his point. Like, I wanted to print this there, and they won't. It's like, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because if you don't, like, I had an intern last summer, and this is obviously much smaller scale, but he was the editor of the Badger Herald, and that's the UW-Madison, one of UW-Madison's newspapers, and there was a conservative kid who had written an article, and it wasn't an editorial. It was supposed to be a news piece that was very, very biased. Okay. And he was like, no, we're not running this. Like, your sources aren't there. Like, you can't print this as a news report. And the kid, somehow it got up to, like, Scott Walker. And, course, YAF, right? Like, the young American, whatever.
Right up his
So,
alley,
they're tweeting at my intern, shout out to Harrison, who's awesome. And he kind of, he took it in stride. Like, he was like, I think he kind of took it as a badge of honor. Mm-hmm. But he was just like, and that's the problem, right? It's like the simplification of, well, you won't print this because you're biased. It's like, no, we're not printing this because it's not good reporting.
Right.
And that is, like, the same thing as, like, the simplification of the argument. And that's what, Republicans are just so good at. Like, they're so good at that. And, Democrats on the whole are really good at making things more complicated.
Yes.
Because things are complicated. And so to try to reflect the accuracy of the situation and how much more nuanced most of these things are, we get flustered in the messaging instead of being like, critical race theory is indoctrinating your children.
Right.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah. And you're right. And every time you see, just complete lies, whether it's in an op-ed or whatever, and then you have, kind of a liberal leaning source, instead of just calling it out for the garbage it is, saying something like, well, we found several inaccuracies here with Mr. Trump's statement, and we rated a 3.7 on our truthometer. Like, it's just like, I don't know. That kind of, you're right. Things are complicated, and they're not so black and white, but sometimes I wish, places would just go for it.
Knock them out.
So anyway, that is the summary of what Ron Johnson has been. I'm sure he's been up to something as we spoke, but that was this week's installment of Mandatory Johnson. And that wraps things up. Kristin, thanks so much for coming in.
Always happy to be here.
Very exciting. Bucks are playing Saturday, game 5, would it be? That is in Phoenix. Then game 6 would be back in Milwaukee, and if necessary, game 7 would be back in Phoenix.
Yep.
I'm super excited. I'm not the hugest basketball fan, but wow, have I gotten caught up in this whole thing? And it's super exciting to be in Milwaukee right now. And yeah,
I was thinking about that last night of like how many of us will now forever just be like, there's been like kind of like the lifelong Bucks fans who have like stuck through it when we've been so bad. Mm-hmm. And I think this season has now bred a whole new generation of those people who like will always remember what this felt like, even if we don't win.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But like this, like being like forever fans and trying to ever like forever recapture what this summer has been like watching them.
It's very exciting, and boy, it's something that Milwaukee really needed, I think, after such a lousy year. So go Bucks, Bucks in 6, and we'll talk to you later.
Got Bucks lust. I love my Milwaukee Bucks. Got Bucks lust.